Hello and welcome to Coffee Talk, the place where we have amazing conversations and we share inspiring stories. And my guest today is Konrad Zelonka. He is an amazing person. He's an entrepreneur and also a coffee enthusiast and professional. And without further delay, let me introduce you to Konrad. Hey Konrad, how are you?
Hey, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very glad that you texted me to do this podcast. And yeah, since I know you, and I thought it's gonna be so cool, so that's why I was so super psyched, to finally have some time to speak with you.
Yeah, right.
First and foremost, and the second thing, participate in your project.
That's right. Thank you so much. Really, that means a lot to me. For me, like the way we met is kind of a really cool story. Do you remember how we met?
I think it was a fair trades, right?
Yeah.
I was there with my sister, and I was trying your coffee. Yeah, it was. We were talking about roasting, about the whole coffee stuff, like the brewing. I remember you brewed me Mexican coffee. Actually,
Yeah,
it was Mexican coffee.
Yes, that's right. We did meet at Halaguardi, and I'm a one-man show all the time. So I was carrying that Marsocco Mini, which is like super massively heavy in that wooden box. Remember?
Yes.
And then I asked you if you could help me with a machine, and that's where I brew you the coffee.
Ah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Remember that?
Yes.
So that's how I met you first, and I thought that you were a really nice guy, and I didn't know that you were actually in the coffee industry that deep.
I mean, at that point, I was starting, so I was still, very, very small scale roaster, roasting mostly locally and stuff. And, I just came to Fairtrade just to be updated about the industry, to meet people, because actually at that point, I didn't know many people and how everything goes, I mean, you need to know, people and drink lots of coffee to be really into the industry. It's not very accessible, but over time it just gives you a hug and you feel like a part of the community. Yeah. So I was searching for my place over there actually.
That's right. So after a while you kind of just find your way into the community, and
exactly.
Then everybody kind of knows you, and then it's just kind of you're part of the scenery. Then you become at least people don't ignore you, right?
Yeah.
And that brings me to actually the beginning of our conversation. How did you get started in the coffee industry? Because you are an entrepreneur of many kinds. You do all kinds of business. But what I want to, kind of talk more about is, how did you get into the coffee industry?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really see myself as an entrepreneur. I just do the thing I find and I love actually, because it started as a hobby and I kind of monetized it, if you can say that.
That's the best kind of way.
I was just burned out after working for the corporate job, and coffee turned out to be, the missing element that I was looking for actually. So I tried to, do something new, totally new, like a tabula rasa, like the blank page, to start things from scratch. I got pretty bad coffee at work as well. I hope they don't really listen to that, but I just dig deeper into the topic, and for me it was very difficult, and I like difficult things. Like when something seems to be super hard to start, from scratch. The coffee knowledge is hardly accessible.
Yes, but it is inaccessible, but it's also accessible in the sense that you can go anywhere and you can talk to people about it. There's some things that you have to kind of pay for, the courses and all those things.
That's true, but also when you have some basis, for example, a roasting curve or this charts, they're not transferable. So if you say the coffee cracks at 200 degrees, it actually can crack at Gießen at 190. So it's it's not interchangeable. So you don't have anything a stable, like a starting point.
Yes.
So it is very fluid, let's say.
Yes. So this is part of where like my engineering background comes in when I think about this.
I didn't know you're an engineer?
Yes, I'm an engineer and a chemist.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
So for coffee industry, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays when the water starts to play a big part.
The way I started in coffee, I tell you, I also had like plenty of bad coffee, but I also didn't know it, right? It wasn't until I started traveling around the world and getting to know people, and they say like, wow, this is not good coffee. For example, for me, the trendy thing to do was to go to Starbucks, say. And I'm not going to say bad things about Starbucks, but that was kind of my staple, right? I wanted to get, tasty coffee, tasty drink. The atmosphere was great. And then I started meeting this group of individuals who were talking about like just individual, single kind of coffee. And I started trying it. And the first coffee that I tried that just changed my mind was an Ethiopian Guji from Coffee Desk.
Okay.
And that just...
I mean, Guji is pretty good example of Ethiopia. Like, it's floral, fruity. So like Irgashev, like tea-like, but very floral.
For the individual who doesn't understand, they probably think like, oh, when you talk about the blueberries, they think that it's a blueberry flavor that you put into the coffee. But that's not true, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was having like a couple of conversations like that, and people were like, oh, I see like very gentle blueberry. And I was explaining like, because there are like aromas, and you have like aroma of blueberry. And they're not like they're naturally occurring aromas in the coffee. So I mean, for some people, I really opened the eyes, and they really stopped brewing espressos, and they just went for filter. So yeah, that's very. I mean, it's pretty cool that people are interested, and they're really eager to listen about that and know more. And the moment they find out more about the coffee, it's pretty cool. Like we have a new. I mean, you have a new member of the community actually, because someone starts brewing filters, like getting into the water, grinders, all those stuff. I mean, it's just another level. If you're like a day-to-day coffee drinker, like at Starbucks, I mean, Starbucks is cool.
Yes.
In many ways. I don't say it's bad. It just serves its purpose, its own clients, Right. But it's also pretty good for specialty coffee. So we have like some stable points that we can compare ourselves to.
That's right.
They're like good example of darker roasts. They are the coffee that majority of us would like. Besides the fact that they're super efficient. I mean, I spoke to a friend of mine, William Davies. He told me like when he was opening his first cafe, what he did, he was just sitting at Starbucks, like, looking at the baristas, how they work, the workflow, the layout of the bar, because they're like a perfect place to spot the good points, like how to manage the bar, where everything is standing, like the espresso machine, grinders, all those stuff, because they've been there for like couple of years, like for
a long time,
since I remember, right?
Yes.
For a long time. So, and they're huge corporations, so there's lots of money in it, research and all those stuff. So I think in case of the work, we can learn a lot from them.
Yes. So what for me, like one of the, I mean, just talking about the flow of the, I mean, oh my gosh, I think we could talk for hours about this. But just talking about the flow of the machines and the flow, the bar flow. Let's just call it just bar flow. For me, I have learned so much going to the coffee festivals. Also because I apply my engineering mind, and I'm the biggest DIY person you'll ever know.
And so you're also like a one-man band, right? So it's even more difficult.
So I'm pulling shots, charging, creating, advising, talking. So it's just like massive amount of knowledge. But one thing that I really enjoy about going to the festivals is you have to become very efficient, right? So if you have a line of people, because in the festivals you have lines of people and they want to get beans and they want this and they want that, so you want to become you have to become very efficient at that, right? So this is something that I have
multitasking, right? You need to brew the coffee, grind, talk. For me, it was at the beginning. It was pretty difficult, to manage talking and doing latte art. I think we can both agree latte art is not easy thing to do, especially at the beginning. But after some time, you just gain workflow, let's say, like you get used to it.
Yeah, I will share a little bit of a story how I got started, and so probably you'll find some inspiration on how you got started. So I started actually brewing coffee at the coffee festival.
You mean in Halag Vabdi?
In Palace Culture.
You mean earlier?
So
okay.
like 8 years ago or something.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, so I will tell you the story. So I want to interview this guy. His name is Arek. I can't remember his last name. But Arek, it was like the most amazing example of customer service. So anyway, so I was looking for a machine, and I wanted to buy a good machine. So I did all my research, and I found, La Marzocco Mini. I ordered it from Arek. And I signed myself for the coffee festival, and I ordered a machine, let's say on Tuesday, and by Wednesday Alex said, you know what, it's not getting here, I'm gonna go to Koszalin and deliver it to you.
Whoa.
So Alex went all the way to Koszalin to the warehouse and delivered it to my house.
Oh my gosh.
On Wednesday, right? So remember that the coffee festival is Saturday, Sunday, right? So here I am, Wednesday with a machine, and I said to I said to Arek, do you guys have some kind of training? And Arek looked at me kind of, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, of course, yeah, we do. Like, do you need the training? And I said, like, yeah. So he said, I'm gonna send you out with one of my guys. So I said, okay, cool. So what he did is he just sent a guy named Philip. I don't know who this guy is. He's a completely amazing person, because he taught me how to pull shots, and the way he pulls shots is the way I pull shots now, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Which are very dense and thick. People really like that strong coffee flavor, right?
Agree.
So when you're serving coffee to the public, I like coffee a certain way, but they like it a different way. So anyway, so I learned from him, and talking about latte art. He said, like, okay, so you know how to do a latte art, right? And he's and I said, you know what? No, I'm gonna learn from you. He looked at me and he's like, okay, give it a shot. So I grabbed it, I steamed the milk, I blew the milk, because it was my first time like operating a steam wand like that way.
I mean the professional one, because usually when you have like home espresso,
yes, right.
I mean it's like a toy for kids, but La Marzocco, probably it was like super strong for it, especially at the first time for you.
So I do it, and I get the milk going, right? And then he says, so he just like told me, like, show me what you got. So I started doing it, and then I started pouring the milk the way, because of course I watched 20,000 million YouTube videos, so of course I'm a professional by this time, right? So when I started pouring the milk, he just looks at me, and he wanted to laugh, but I think he was very careful not to hurt my feelings.
Good teacher.
No, amazing. So anyway, he left. He gave me the lesson on Thursday night, on Thursday evening, and Friday, I practiced with soap and water the whole day.
So you're having like a small fair trades before the actual fair trades.
Yes. So
then it should be a piece of cake for you then, if you already have everything managed and practiced.
So imagine that, right? So anyway, here I go with my stand to go to the coffee festival, and that's how crazy I am.
I mean, you're a risk taker, right? It's like, yeah.
So this is my story, how I got started. How did you get started?
I mean, probably I didn't have many like funny stories. Maybe I'm not that very risk-taking guy as you, but I really admire it, like the courage. It's I wish to have that as well, in terms of when I was starting with the coffee. So I actually started with buying a small roaster. It was handmade roaster from Taiwan. Oh, wow. I read lots of forums. I asked people and everything about how to start, how to roast, what machine to roast on. I was pretty tight on budget, so I wanted something that could give me some feeling of true roasting, not like Ikawa. Ikawa is like a sampler, but more like a hair dryer. I mean, no offense, but for if you want to learn like real roasting, like the drum roasting and stuff, you need to have like a drum roaster, even the smaller scale, but still drum, the real flame, the real drum, the real fans, and all those roasty stuff. So I went with Huki 500T. It's the roaster that is handmade in Taiwan. It's like you order it and the guy assembles it for you, because you can have some additional accessories like some probes, like for air. You have like as many probes as you'd like to have.
Great.
So he just handmakes this for you, and it's like huge community around it, especially in the US. I think the US is like the biggest market for home roasters. So that's why I found out about Huki 500, and there were lots of like the starting information, like where to get the beans. Maybe you have heard about Sweet Marias.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's for roasters, and I actually ordered beans from them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were coming here for like 1 month because of the delivery, but still I got them, and they just send you also how to roast it, like the temperatures, like a rule of thumb how to start to not to burn your first roast. But actually I did. So, but that's another topic. So this Huki 500 came to me, and I tried to assemble it. And my first roast was the burnt one. Actually, there was no fire, but it was lots of smoke in the house.
My gosh,
because at that point I didn't have any place set up yet, so I did it in the kitchen at my parents' house. It was safer than in some flat. Like neighbors could get angry, So I just wanted to omit that. So I just did it, and it was like, I think Starbucks roast, if I'm not mistaken. They're very oily, very dark, like
tasty.
Yeah, for some people might be. I mean, but not for the tastes that are common known here.
Right.
Yeah, and it took me very long time, like lots of tries and errors, like learning from my mistakes. Even though you have everything told, like the curves, how to set up the software, because you need to have a software to maybe let's start from the beginning. If you want to do this professionally, you need to have a software. You need to have some like a plan. This roast plan. How dark you want to roast? What do you want to roast this coffee for? What's the coffee actually? They differ.
Right.
Like Ethiopia and Kenya are different than Brazil. Also, you need to know your machine, where the temperatures, when the certain like the chemical reactions occur, the drying phase, Maillard, all those stuff. At that point, I didn't really know much about that. I was more focused on repeating the roasts I read on Sweet Marias and on the Huki forum. So actually, it took me no jokes, like half a year to understand the everything.
Yeah.
I was also looking for the courses and some extracurricular, trainings, but it's pretty difficult. It was at the time, at least.
Yeah. Konrad, this is something very interesting, and I think like something that is valuable to kind of tell the audience is that the coffee is a very capricious, it's a very complicated kind of product to roast, because there are so many variables. You can if it's cold, if it's dark, if it's humid, if your machine is not well, if there's anything like, if it's electric, if it's gas, if all of these things, if the probe is in one place, if the charge is too small, too big. So what I really like telling people when I talk to coffee is that by this time, the people who planted the coffee have done a tremendous amount of work to get it to your hands, and then you have to do a tremendous amount of work to get it to actually get it right or get it roasted.
Don't screw it up
too much. And then you get to actually develop this amazing piece of art that you want. And it's not like a science, like you said. It's not 100% a science, because you are still always mitigating those factors. So you have to be good at troubleshooting the coffee all the time.
That's true. I mean, this is pretty bad work for like perfectionist, let's say, because coffee is imperfect in its own nature. You know, I mean, you have those defects even in specialty. You have this like variables that sometimes coffee cannot be repeated, like the weather changes, and you know your whole profile can change as
Yes.
well. There are also, you know, the profiles are not interchangeable between roasters,
No.
even though you have exactly same roaster, exactly same gas, the beans, but you, for example, like you roast on different elevation, or you
Yeah.
have a different chimney. You know, all those tiny details, they really reflect on the final product. So this is, I think this is beauty of coffee.
Yeah.
And we need to accept that it's not perfect. I
Yes.
mean, when there's a barista, they must know their roaster, what to expect, so they would know how to, you know, properly brew it.
Yes.
If you have some Scandinavian roaster, you actually know already how your roaster roast is pretty light. So
Pretty light, that's
it just
right.
gives you, you know, some field where to operate, like high temperature, or like longer brewing time. So it's easier. So you still operate on some, like a, let's say, scale.
Yes.
And some certain knowledge. But still, it may turn out different. You set up a recipe in the morning, and in the afternoon it's already different.
Yes, that's
Like
true.
the coffee batches,
Yes,
they
that's
differ. Like, come on, like when you have like a 15 seconds difference, and you actually taste the coffee every single day, or every single quality control, they also differ. I mean, my work is to make them as little different than the previous one as possible. Because if you set up a roast, you'd like to be consistent for brewing here and everything. Yeah, but the roaster is pretty stressful job, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy peasy. Oh, we just, you know, drink coffee. We're around coffee. It's chill topic. You know, we don't play with. I mean, something dangerous like guns, or I don't know, like
That's right.
medical stuff. So nobody will die after that.
That's
but
right.
People really rely on you. So
Yes.
this is what's also the part that, because I write my name like behind every bag, so it's like I just, you know, I'm kind of responsible for every single bag.
They're gonna come and looking for you when their coffee is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I try to do my best, you know. After some roasts, I already have like 300 hours of Gießen only of roasting.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, only on this roaster. And I've been having this like for a year more or less.
You know, so for me, you know, like just kind of like, you know, kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, that's why for me it's kind of both exciting and frustrating, because an engineer, what engineers like to do is predictability, right? Mm-hmm. So to create a composite model that has very certain outcomes, or at least limit the variables, right?
But you base on tangible stuff. You don't base on aroma.
Right.
So it's something. I mean, when you're an engineer, you have like a number, and it's a number, and you cannot even discuss with a number. It's incorrect. It's either within the you know the whole concept or not. But in terms of quality control, it's like, I mean, you can discuss the aroma. I mean, for some people, it can be blueberry, but some other blueberry pie, and then.
Yeah. For example, I don't smell some smells.
Yeah.
There are some aromas that I don't perceive. Like for example, leather. I cannot smell leather whatsoever. Okay. And so, you know, so for me, so for me, this is what's really amazing about coffee, is that the part of the science and the art is what just kind of drives me nuts, and it kind of propels me to like continue to learn, right? To continue to understand, and also gives me a lot of patience and a lot of, I guess I just call it empathy to people, or not empathy. This is kind of, it's just understanding, right? Not empathy is something else. It's more understanding for people who are jumping into the specialty coffee world, right? Because the flavors are different. The flavors are extreme sometimes, right? And this gives me a little, you know, this conversation about the different flavoring and the complexity of coffee gives me segue to the next question that I would like to ask you. It's like, what is specialty coffee to you? Cool.
For me, it's like two different approaches. Like the roaster business approach, it's just the numbers, the quality you have, like the SC scores, like the terroir of coffee and all those stuff around that are can be put into numbers and are tangible, so you can actually measure it and pay fair salary for plantators, all those technical stuff, specialty, quality, brewing, all those approaches. But there's also like a specialty. What's personally to me is the treatment not only of coffee, but also about clients, about your guests who drink your coffee. It's all about those stuff that I control water every day. So this makes specialty cafe a specialty, that I really bother about those teeny tiny details that are, maybe in the whole picture they're just tiny details that may not really reflect the final cup. But as long as it's like, to some extent, it has the influence on that, I must put as much effort as possible to make it right. Like to make the espresso machine clean every single day, to maintain your gear, to clean the grinders, to have the right ppm of your water, to have like a good beans on your grinder, like a nice offer for people. This is what makes specialty a specialty, that you stand out from any other regular cafes around you. It's like when people come here, they trust you, and they need to, face their standards, like meet their standards to deliver the best product possible, considering all those stuff I previously said, like all those tiny steps, because they will sum up to something greater.
I agree with all of those. And
but?
no, there's no but.
Okay.
I know, I agree with those. I actually haven't heard this in a more complete way, right? Like a summarized way, because I think most people understand it from the, and even also I understand it from the numbers perspective. Just like once you pass 80 points, your specialty basically.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. Once you get to 80 points, you need to start doing something with those 80 points. It's about the service, it's about the taste. There's something more to tell about the coffee and more to do. There's more responsibility. The way I look at it, and this is kind of an analogy, right? The way I look at it is like you have all the work from the farmers, the roasters. It's a symphony it's a symphony that's been written very beautifully. And when it comes to you as a roaster, as a barista, your job is to conclude that symphony. And the ending it can be the most beautiful ending, or it can be the most horrible ending, and it didn't matter what everybody else did in the beginning.
True.
You just ruined it.
True. But also you need to be kind of like historian or storyteller to the symphony.
Yes.
So the barista should also tell the story about how it was composed.
Yes.
Like tell about the origin, tell about the plantator. So they're actually like the first, like the front when consumers meet the specialty is the barista, because it's up to them whether they're gonna tell them, oh, it's a light roast, so you should brew it this and that. Oh, and then the guest will have a nice cup of coffee because knows how to brew. This is what I think we can improve in the industry, to really share the knowledge, especially with the Johnsons, like with people who don't really, make a fuss about brewing coffee, like to make their life easier, and to tell them how to brew, how to choose, and tell them more, like not technically, Ethiopia has this elevation, this and that, but you want something fruity, so rule of thumb, washed, more acidic, natural, a bit heavier, thicker, so choose wisely or try.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, like the frustrating part about the specialty business and also, the specialty coffee and the knowledge is that it takes a lot of effort for some people, right? It's not like a telephone, right? That you get it in your hands, it's great, it's very intuitive, you navigate through it, you use it, things that you use, well how to do, for example, Messenger or Facebook or whatever else, right? You know how to, but you don't know how to build it. You don't know how it was built. You don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, they don't give you description, who built it, what parts
You
it
know what I mean?
includes. Yeah.
So for me,
How much did they pay to the builder?
that's right, right. So when I think about coffee and about the consumer, I really enjoy the effort that went into it, but I don't want to guilt trip him into learning about it. It's just more about it. Yes, have the basics, but I enjoy it, because at the end of the day, for example, when I come, I mean, what I really like about the way you do your coffee is that the coffee always comes with a little bit of information, and people can take it or not, but over time, I think you're educating. And it's not like forceful education, it's just like, hey, as you are sitting down, drinking your coffee, here's a little bit of information about it, which is very gentle and it's very nice. And it's not, and you give the opportunity to the customer to learn on their own.
Coffee is already so complicated, so why make it even more for people who don't really care as much as we do?
Yeah, and this is true.
And I don't expect them to care as much as I
That's
do.
right.
It would be horrible, but
No, but I think there is a level of curiosity that you plant in people, and that people eventually will get to.
exactly.
I think that, but for example, the reason why I think it's horrible when people like discourage the customer that walks in or puts milk into without slipping in some additional information is because you just churn that customer.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You just converted a curious individual into a person who had a really bad experience that will not come back to the shop.
That's true.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why the role of the barista is such an important thing. So for me, when people come to my shop, I start in the chocolatey and everything, and they want some Ethiopias. That's kind of as high level as I want to go, but until I have my shop, because now I'm a concept, and right now what I'm doing is I'm just positioning, testing the concept, and also introducing the customer, right? Bringing the customer to learn very, very gently about the coffee, and like that ethos of, yes, we take care about the details of the coffee, but you can still kind of relate to the coffee, and it's very friendly.
That's true. I mean, you're making them eager to learn, not like enforce it. So, if you want to do specialty, it must go somewhere beyond that. Yes. I mean, I don't expect from owner to make the coffee and stuff but in order to have like quality and know what quality really means, it's also difficult to really name the quality, and to have the point that you want to reach, like the acidity that's crisp, or like the flat white to be so chocolatey, not acidic or whatever. You as an owner, you are the guy who tells the barista, oh, this is cool, yeah, you can brew like that, because they don't really have an opportunity to learn. They just do coffee every day. So that's why I try to do always to tell them how I roasted stuff, or what's new coffee coming up, or I just saw a cool video of like Lance Hedrick doing like a swan or whatever.
Try
try. I mean, I don't know how to, so I don't expect either. But it's the thing that after talking to people, sharing the knowledge, I also improve their knowledge as well. I mean, and people want to learn about that. The world of coffee seems like pretty like elite. So when you have like some very magical knowledge of roasting, brewing, recipes, water, it seems like, oh, you know so much, so why would I even ask you? I don't want to look stupid in front of you, Then this is the problem as well. Like, people are not, I mean, they don't feel comfortable asking questions in specialty because they don't want to be perceived like, oh, I know less than you, but I work as a barista, so I will not ask you a question because I don't want to look stupid and stuff. I mean, come on, let's break it. Like, I also ask importers like, oh, so this one is natural, but came as a pretty acidic coffee. So what's the difference? And they say, it was natural, longer fermentation. So that's why, we need to ask questions. They will not tell you stuff. You must do this on your own. It's like, what's written, it's written, but you need to dig deeper. What's different between like the regular cafe and the specialty one? It should be the qualities above money. So it's like money comes in second or third place. The first one is Yeah, quality and team baristas, like all those stuff, you know.
This is very interesting. So I was working for this company, and it was the way they work with coffee is super crazy. They just I never seen such a thing. It
You
just
mean it was so complex, like
was
so
so
high
complex.
gear and
Well, yeah, and also just to talk about the complexities of coffee, right? So because at the end of the day, they were calling themselves specialty because they do roast specialty beans. But one of the biggest challenges is to convey specialty to the employees, right? Because
you mean the baristas or
baristas.
Okay.
Because we had they had the same challenge, or I had it. Thank God I don't have the same challenge anymore. But you have to kind of just tell, because I learned the Polish way, and the Polish way is very technical, right? In Poland, you really do care about your 3, 2. If you go more than 3 seconds on the shot, you feel guilty. I feel guilty of serving that shot. So I weigh, time every shot.
Same here.
Since I remember, I mean that's how I learned from that day with the guy from Coffee Desk. I'm so so from Philip. There you go. Thank you, Philip, if you're listening.
Cheers. Good job. I hope you're still training people.
Yeah, this guy was good. So that transferring that that knowledge is crazy because they wanted to do a great job with coffee, and also the expectation that the customers have. Like here, there's in terms of customer service, there's a very clear understanding that it's 50-50, and in the United States, it's like all about the customer, right?
So it's like they're always right, even
So
though they're not.
right. Even if they're not, right? So the customer has this expectation, and
I mean, as long as they don't abuse it, it's cool.
People are polite, but there's understanding that that they're paying for the coffee, and they're supposed to get it a specific way. And now that when you are having a conversation face to face, you can troubleshoot. There can be I don't like that coffee, and you can be okay. Let me remake it. How do you want it? Oh, I don't like milk. Oh, you put too much something, or can I get plant? And you're like, yeah, sure, on the spot, right? But what this concept was doing is that they were ordering on the app, and you were going to a drive-through. So the whole consumer journey changed. It's completely different, and it's kind of like a McDonald's. They expect the experience of the McDonald's, but you're promising the experience of specialty. The company promises really good high quality coffee and great tasting coffee, but what the part missing is that the customer thinks it's a magic box. You know what I mean? And you have to also, it is a huge challenge, which even the owners don't know sometimes, that in order to deliver a high quality coffee, there is so much learning to do, and you cannot train it in like 1 or 2 days or 4 days even. You know what I mean? It's a very high order to kind of fail.
You mean to train the coffee knowledge or how to work behind the bar?
Both,
yeah.
right? Because you have to get skills.
I mean,
and then you have to know your coffee.
Yeah, I mean the knowledge, you can give a pamphlet and there will be info like what specialty, what's terroir, whatever. But the skills that are more like mechanical, you need to actually do stuff like steam milk, pull shot, taste. Yeah, it must be like it's a long run, in terms of learning. It's like you will not read overnight, but you need to train for 2 or 3 weeks to have a acceptable level of, I don't know, the skill and stuff.
How did you, Konrad, how did you come up with this little concept? I mean, I know you've been thinking about it, and we talked about it, and you were like, oh, I want to open my coffee shop. I also want to open my coffee shop. How did you go about it? For those people who are thinking like, who should open a coffee shop and what should they be aware about?
To be honest, it was like an answer for my problems, kind of, because I started with roasting. And the roasting business is pretty competitive. Like you have so many coffee brands. they're better or worse. But you know, it's like I could spend this money on marketing. I wouldn't give me this impact as opening a coffee shop. It's pretty difficult to reach out clients, to reach like, you know, both the business clients and the consumers. You have so many roasteries to choose from, the foreign one, the domestic ones, like so many beans. So actually I was like a small drop of water in the whole ocean, and I was pretty difficult to be noticed for people. And also my roastery is not in Warsaw, so they were like thinking, oh, I'm so small scale local guy who doesn't know stuff. And yeah, and that's why I was trying, you know, to still convey my philosophy, let's say, of doing coffee, because I was thinking is right, it's how I want to reach people, you know. So what would be the good decision to make? Like as a roaster, you already have a roastery, you sell some beans, but it's not like a huge scale, it's more local and stuff. You want to reach to your final client, you want to skip those, you know, huge platforms who pay like hundreds of thousands of zlotys on marketing, who have like a whole bunch of team like next to the shore. We know what about what company I talk about. It's like, yeah, you know, and also they charge a lot of money for just putting your coffee over there on their website.
Yes.
And my philosophy is that, come on, they charge so much money. Why I wouldn't sell my coffee at fair price, which means cheaper than they sell? I don't have a bunch of people to pay. I don't have like huge modern office to pay. So I would rather sell my coffee at the fair price, at the price I would like to buy the coffee. So yeah, let's open some place that will be a shop so people can actually come, see, try, buy and enjoy. But over time, because I was wondering, I was struggling whether to open a shop or a roastery or a coffee shop. Shop, I mean just the beans without any brewing.
Coffee store.
Coffee store, exactly. But we found this location here. It was not possible to put a coffee roaster here, which I really wanted to do so. But at the end of the day, we find some obstacles, so we just, you know, skipped this. Got rid of this idea. So why not coffee shop? Come on, we still will be having coffee here. We want to have some tastings, which mean there will be grinder, some kettles and stuff. So we need to put some coffee machine, more grinders, and that's it. So that's why we just, from the regular store with beans, we just open a cafe. I mean, it's not huge. It's people has bigger flats than this place actually. So you know what I mean.
I just love your secret sauce here. So your secret
There's
sauce.
no secret sauce actually.
but I think there is a secret sauce.
Okay.
So I think the secret sauce is that you are very passionate about coffee and you want to deliver honestly, but you also know how to compromise on things that make sense and you don't get things that don't make sense. You know, you rather invest actually on things that matter, and you're really good at selecting those. I think that, you know, this is really good sound advice. I do something similar, just a little different. I also eventually want to open my own place. I don't know when and
here
where.
in Warsaw.
I do not know.
Okay.
If it's gonna be here in Warsaw or in the US. I'm still, you know, traveling. But Konrad, is this an easy job to do? Like, because a lot of people are thinking, for those who are thinking about opening a coffee shop, right? Because there's like, oh, I would like to open a coffee shop so I can relax. Is this a easy, relaxing job?
It's all the way around. Like, you will not have the time to relax. I mean, I'm pretty bad example because I roast and I like manage the coffee shop, so it's like two things at the same time. So maybe that's why I don't really see this free time. I should have, but I actually do not. I didn't do this on my own only. My sister helps me as well. Like, we do this together actually.
She's so nice. I came here with Alex.
Yeah.
And she gave us so many cookies. Thank you so much. She's so nice.
Yeah, she's like the true hospitality.
Yeah, she's got.
I should learn from her, the hospitality.
She's got. No, you are very good at hospitality, Konrad.
Yeah, so it's like answering your question is like, if you want to open a coffee shop, it's gonna be hard work, and it's like gonna be 24/7 work. You know, it's like because we see it when you enter the cafe. Oh, everything is working, barista is working. You can just relax and count the cash. Oh no, it's like so many things in the way. Like I need to be a plumber. I need to be, you know, the guy who does the electrical work. I need to be some like construction worker, you know, to build this, assemble that. I mean, it doesn't require like high knowledge of water pipes, how to assemble them. You just need to know how to do this or how to mitigate some emergency issue.
This is like, what's hard. I mean, this is what's really crazy, and this is what really breaks businesses. I mean, like hopeful businesses, right? Because for example, when you start and there's a leak or the AC goes out or your machine breaks or it clogs, or you know, the more technical the more technological advanced your machine is, the worse of a nightmare you have.
That's why we have classic La Marzocco classic. There's no technology to break. It just delivers you hot water. That's it.
my goodness, like I learned my lesson. You know, I was trying to buy like something electrical, and you know what? I have the La Marzocco Mini. And there's a lot of things going behind, you know, of course, it's a complicated machine, but to you, it's just a paddle.
Yeah.
The hard thing, I mean, and you become really good. You have to be really good, you know, at taking shots because you have to measure it. You have to time it. You have to get really comfortable with it. But yeah, there's so many things going on. Konrad, what are some new things that are, you know, that you are planning for coming up? Do you have any cool things that you want to announce, or cool, you know, any new exciting things that you are doing with either with coffee or with business?
I mean, it's more like answering people's needs. They actually complain that we are too small, especially on the weekends. I mean, I'm really glad that we already put the garden outside and we have more space, but still people complain, like especially the usual clients, that they cannot have a seat here. They just need to take away. So we actually are planning to expand.
Oh, I mean, wow, that is nice.
It sounds big, but come on, we just need to, you know, open another place, I guess. Yeah, and I really wish to move a roastery somewhere closer, because it's like 200 kilometers away. It's lots of, you know, going back and forth. It's also time, and also important factor that I will have someone to help me with quality control, choosing the beans and everything. This is what I really miss a lot, like someone who will come and judge.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, people are nice here and everything, but I really want someone to be, you know, there, to be critic. There for quality, for cupping, for choosing beans. So it will, I mean the baristas, the people that work here, so they will also feel as a part of the greater thing, not only as a cafe, but also from the production perspective. It will give them influence, you know. They will, because if they choose the beans and the beans end up being on a grinder, it's like, oh cool, this is the bean I chose and I did the quality, and yeah, everything
I know how it's supposed to work.
Exactly, and they will know. Oh, this one I remember we roasted lighter, so the client, I can tell. Oh, it's the beans we chose. Blah blah blah. You know, all those stories. But also it's like getting people involved, because what I found out is like my job is not to let the people do their job, what they like, and don't pressure them. It's like, come on, if you're a barista, you should come to work. Oh, you know, I'll just pull some shots, talk to people and stuff. But when you have like a boss who is, oh, you must work faster, oh, there are dirty dishes waiting there for 5 minutes or whatever. Come on, what's more important? The guy who's asking about the beans because he wants to buy a bag of coffee and learn more about coffee, or some dirty dishes that are waiting for 5 minutes? I mean, those dishes will not kill people. So
yes, it's about the trust. It's about making it flat. This is something that is very important to know that you work with people, and I think like this is something that I learned from my previous boss, is that you want to let people do their work and trust them to do their work, and let them manage themselves, because the more you micromanage them, the more you try to influence them in a productive way, the more codependent they become on your decisions.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Konrad, it has been a super amazing conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy.
Thank you.
Is there any final advice or any tips that you would like to give to, people who are listening, who are thinking about, a coffee business, be it roasting or opening a coffee shop? What would you say to those people?
Let's say pro tip, not advice.
Yeah, pro tip.
But
yeah.
pro tip is like to invest in the stuff that really matter. It's not always about the gear. So you can have an older grinder, but the nice burst to it.
Yes.
Sharp burst. But what would do with us with like the already used burst? It will be useless. Or when you have a super great espresso machine, like whatever machine, like La Marzocco mod bar, the
with
one
a
with
burn gasket.
Yeah, but exactly, or with a bad water to it.
Oh yeah, it will kill your machine.
I mean, you just need to think what really impacts the stuff, and don't really take industry seriously, because you will not make everyone happy. But as long as you make your client happy, it's fair enough.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's lots of nice people around. I'm not, saying we're doomed and everyone hates each other. It's make happy people that are really important to you.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
your usual clients, for example, if they come back, it means a lot, because people, especially, I mean, when they try something at the first time, they will not say, "Oh, it's bad," it's burnt, or it's too roasty, too dark. They will be kind and nice, and they will just say, "Oh, it's good." But the thing is, if they come again, this is the best reward, or like the factor that tells you, "Oh, we do a good job, so let's keep on doing that."
So when they come back, you feel that you are doing a great job, and get
exactly.
So a repeat business is a good thing to kind of look for.
And people really see it, if they are coming back and the quality is consistent. The baristas are happy behind the bar. Like, you have a friendly relations. There is no like, oh, there is like head barista, there is like a baby barista, oh, and here is above him. So, I mean, come on, we are not building rockets. They are not going to space. It's at the end of the day, it's just a cup of coffee, So don't overcomplicate stuff. I mean, life is already so complicated. So why to make it even more complicated, right?
Thank you so much, Konrad. You hear it. We're not building rockets. We're just making
It's not rocket
coffee.
science, right? Maybe you're like an engineer and stuff, so you may know more about that. But
no. I mean, depends on It's like everything. For everything that has a beginning, you have to kind of start with the beginning, and then just kind of have a progression.
Easy to say, but
hard to do.
Exactly. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's really rewarding. Yeah, I'm so glad we could talk. Like, since you texted me, I was so psyched, to finally have a talk with you for more than 15 minutes.
That's right.
First of all, and second of all, we do something like, let's say, meaningful. It's very nice job you do here.
I think that I hope that I get to reach out to more people in the coffee industry, just to engage in the conversation, because I think that's what's missing. What's missing in the coffee industry is like not about competition, not necessarily about like hard conversations. Be like, okay, what do you know? How do you know? How do we do it? Because there might be somebody sitting there who might have bigger potential than you and I do, and that might be the next star. And we're just slow, we might be just slowing the industry.
That's true. I mean, there's still place for everyone, and the higher the competition, the better, actually, because it enforces everyone on keeping up with the best quality. So it's actually good to have more and more people. I mean, in the US, it's pretty competitive. Like, you have so many. I mean, like in the US, there are so many like great roasteries and everything, and they're like top class. Like, I think some of them are better than the one we have here in Europe. Or
But it's also 300 million people. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and lots of home roasters, so they're pretty picky about their coffee. So
yeah, but you know, like you said, there's a position for everybody, and I think that the most important thing is to start. And you know, for me, the reason why I like to have these conversations is to continue to have, you know, to see that, you know, that people start like me, like with just pure bravura, let's call, like, you know, just this. There's no really a good way to do it. You started, you know, in a very progressive way by yourself.
Oh, I didn't talk about my roaster I got in the middle. It was Chinese roaster. It was so difficult to roast on, you know. It was so tricky. Like, actually, it was way more difficult to roast on the. I was having like 3 kg roaster for some time, and the Gizon was like a dream. It roasts like as you like it because it's a top machine. But the previous one was super picky, and I needed to be super manual. Like when there's different gas came, like because I roast on propane, it was like super impossible to repeat the roast. So it was so frustrating. But you know, at the end of the day, don't give up. And even though on the cheap roaster you can roast good coffee, since the beans are pretty cool, you make it.
You have a good way to do it. Cool.
Yeah. Also lots of ups and downs, but it's like in everywhere. But I didn't start like in a shed or in some, you know, like a basement. I always hated those stories like, oh, you know, when I started a business, I didn't have anything. We just have green beans only. We roasted them on the sun and stuff. I mean, yeah, okay. Where's the sanitary stuff? Or, you know,
yes.
I condemn those stuff. It's like, let's be real.
I mean, yes.
You must have money to start. You must have something to start.
Okay, this is really good sound advice. You know, start with something. Have a plan.
Yeah,
basically have a plan, because you know, when I started, even though it was kind of crazy, but I had the money to buy the machine. And I mean,
this is the part you cannot skip. Like, you must invest some money. But it's like risk in everything.
Yes, true that. Last question. How do you like your coffee?
Oh, it's bad. I don't like it.
What? Really? Oh my god.
Just kidding. I mean, I roast and I brew it the way I like it. It's like thick espresso, filter. Also the higher extraction. It's not watery. It's rather thicker. Also the coffee selection, or they're more naturals than washed.
Thank you so much again. Thanks for the coffee. It was so tasty. The cascara is great. Yeah. So, and your coffees are just overall really good.
Thank you. It's nice having you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me to the coffee shop. Yeah, thanks.